Yeah, I hear you. What's going on? Yeah, I started playing it today. Yeah, yeah. 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 Definite. Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, I think we'll get started since you're here. Well, never mind. Crap. Sorry about that. Welcome one and all. This is Kenoshi Abominito here with another Project Console. Asking the question, are you surprised? But in any case, before we get into our topics, like my panelist member to introduce himself.
Yo, it's me, Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor of BS Busters, and glad to be on another cast. Hello.
Glad to have you. So first topic, Baldur's Gate came out. I've barely played it. I spent like let's see, I spent like a first half hour in the character customization,
Oh,
and
it's really good.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I've been
And for those of you who don't have the game, if you're someone who always wanted to make a character who was built really well, upside and downside, you can do that in this game.
yep,
Two thumbs up. If you want to be make a female character who's built like a brick shithouse, you can do that too.
yep,
Whatever you like, you can make it. It's your world of imagination.
yeah, exactly. And I'm just kind of, it's typical RPG fashion. You got to you got death all around you, and right now I'm just exploring the ship. Uh, so the ship that's about to fall, or is in the process of crashing, So
Yeah.
um, typical RPG fashion when things are falling around you, spend time to smell the roses. But in any
Yeah.
case, I haven't I haven't gotten too far into the game, but I played a fair amount of Divinity Original Sin 2 with a friend,
Yeah.
so I had an idea of what I was getting myself into. They've obviously added a lot more mechanics. The dice roll is an interesting. Is interesting. Can't wait to see what you end up getting out of that. Or how
Yeah. The
that.
the only thing that I would say might be an impetus to this game is if you don't have any familiarity with D&D, there's certain dynamics and relationships that groups have that you won't appreciate. If you do have that background, it helps.
Yeah, yeah,
It helps. There's something that happens early on in the game that I don't like that they do, and I'm like, lore wise, that's not how that works. But I kind of let it go because I'm like, it's a game. It's a game. It's a video game. They have to make it fun. They have to Grey Warden slash Inquisitor you to give you some type of special ability that only you have as the main central character
I mean,
protagonist.
also of course, this is essentially a professional homebrew of a D&D campaign.
I mean, they do have a game that's essentially a professional homebrew of a D&D game. It's Celesta.
Yeah,
That game is more of a homebrew. This is more like an officially sanctioned, has the D&D name and title and setting in it. The Forgotten Realms, etc., etc. So that's why I'm kind of like I don't like some of the. Well, fuck it. It happens in the beginning. This isn't even a spoiler. In the beginning of the game, your character gets a mind flayer tadpole put into your brain.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, that's kind of how
in the
this.
lore, yeah, in the lore in D&D, when that happens, you're fucked.
Yeah.
It's like you're just you're gonna turn into an illithid. You're fucked.
No, so
In this game, they're like, oh no, it's like the Outer Worlds. You've been specially brain damaged, and that's why it's high, like that gives you special abilities. I'm like, as someone who is like, I played a lot of AD&D, which is 2.0 and 3.0. And I kind of left after 4.0 because they added miniatures where you had to like have an entire fucking diorama set, and like I'm not spending like $200-$300 to play D&D. I'm not doing it. Um, but I do know a lot about illithids and mind flayers and a lot of the lore. So I'm just like, I am not okay with that, but I will let it slide. I'm gonna let you guys go with it. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, that's something. That's how Divinity Original Sin 2 kind of starts off, where you just kind of you start off you obviously start off with like this neck brace that hampers your magical abilities, and you have to figure out how to get it
Yeah.
off.
but that's their own setting. That's their own lore that they pulled out of that they crafted themselves. D&D has what? D&D's the oldest running, officially sanctioned, continuous tabletop game.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, you know, but like I said, I had to be like, okay, I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go.
And
Just
some
stick with the
people,
game.
and some people were confused by the whole spaceship thing. I mean, I don't think a lot
No,
of
no,
people.
that's one of the settings.
No, I
One
mean,
of the settings in D&D is
there's actually a spaceship, like a science fiction fantasy
well,
setting.
it's not science fiction. It's like magic punk. Uh, you're like in space and shit. Spelljammer. It's the
Mm,
Spelljammer setting where you like they travel from like instead of having planets, each planet exists in a crystal sphere. And in order to go from one crystal sphere to another crystal sphere, you need ships that can travel uh, outside of like travel through the crystal sphere into the phlogiston, which is their equivalent of like space, but it's not space. It's liquid. It's not like space where there's a space is a vacuum for in the real world. And so basically, in order to do it, you need a special ships that have engines called spelljammers, which you basically use magic in order to power your spelljammer. But there's different types of jammers. Illithids use biological ships that use life jamming, which means they basically like kill people and make them power the ship. It's kind of
yeah, I think
fucked
they,
up.
I think they take their brains and
Yeah,
make
yeah,
them into
yeah. Illithids also are known as mind eaters. They eat people's brains. That's what they
because
do.
there's a spot where there's a at the beginning of the game where there's a brain trapped in something and you're trying to
Yeah,
free it.
yeah. There's a guy. There's a guy whose brain is stuck in his head, and you have a choice. You can either help him get his brain out of his body, leave the brain there. Of course, all you have to do rolls for all of this, depending on
Mm.
what your stats are. And if you succeed, you can have a brain in your party. I don't know why, but you can't. The option is there.
Yeah,
The option is
yeah.
there. Hey, get him, Steve. Who's Steve? Ah, it's a brain with tentacle legs.
And the open endedness this game I hear is pretty wild. Like there's somebody who's talking about how they killed a woman and then took all of her belongings and then used the resurrection scroll and, and then gaslit her into thinking that he was the hero that saved her, and now this woman's like loyal to this
Oh yeah.
character. I was
I
like,
mean, even
man,
if you
that's
don't
crazy.
do, yeah, even if you don't do some of that shit, you can do stuff like you can go up to like there's a part in the game early on in the first act where you find this dog standing next to his dead master, and you can lie to the dog to get the dog to go to your camp, or you can tell him his master's dead. If you tell him his master's dead, the dog will attack you. But if you lie to him, he'll go to your party, and eventually, like as you go through the game, you can get the dog to be in your party as like a party member and shit. So this game is basically turning out to be the Dragon Age 3 we always wanted, but wouldn't get because uh, BioWare sucks these days.
And the problem with a lot of these games, and apparently developers are jealous. Um,
Oh yeah, they're getting
that this
salty.
thing, they're salty
Yeah,
that this thing exists, and that people
yeah.
are loving the hell out of it. This sort of thing takes a lot of work. Like,
Well,
you know,
the thing that gets me about people getting angry about it. Oh, sorry to cut you off. Go ahead, sir.
no, I was gonna say it's like this game takes a lot of work. Like I couldn't imagine being the writers and organizing these scripts, at least for the writing, and making sure things are consistent, especially consistent with your decisions that you make throughout the game, without everything just breaking.
I
It's
mean, that's fair. That's fair. But the thing that gets me is some people were whining, like some AAA developers were whining and crying about it, and I'm like, who the fuck are you to complain? Because y'all don't make games like this. Like, Larian's been making nothing but RPGs. Practically, like 95% of the games they've been making for the last 23 years have been RPGs.
Yeah.
If anyone would know how to make an RPG, it would be Larian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I trust Obsidian to make an RPG over like other companies because they've been making RPGs for years. Now I know an Obsidian dev said, "Oh man, this is not fair," and I can understand why they said that. I think because when you look at Obsidian's like what they do, Obsidian has always been a AAA studio restrained by money and time.
Yeah.
Because think about all the games Obsidian has made. If they had more money and more time, they would like the games. Like people are like, oh, that game's buggy. It has these issues. The ending is abrupt. If they had money and time, the games would have been amazing. Case in point, KOTOR 2. Everyone's like, that game had an abrupt ending. Yeah, that's fair. They only had a year to make that game. You know how long BioWare had to make KOTOR 1? Like 6 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll let you on a little secret. KOTOR 2, if you like take out the rushed ending, KOTOR 2 in every other aspect in terms of gameplay systems, writing, moral choices, quests is a better game than KOTOR 1.
Yeah.
So Obsidian under time constraints made a better game than a studio that had 6 years and more resources.
Yeah.
Fallout New Vegas, better game than Fallout 3 and Fallout 4.
That's
And they only had a year to make that game and 6 months to work on the DLC.
when I hear that era of Fallout, that's the game that people talk about the most is Fallout New Vegas.
Okay. And yet they only had 18 months to make that game in the DLC.
Yeah.
Like Bethesda had like 5-6 years to make Fallout 3, whereas Obsidian used that same engine to make Fallout New Vegas. And Fallout New Vegas, it like I said, by a lot of metrics, is a better game than Fallout 3. Is it as stable as Fallout 3? No. But in terms of gameplay, um, character choices, writing, um, setting, it's better.
Yeah.
So, like, Obsidian being a little salty, I can understand, but that's more like they could have been like Larian if things had broken a different way. But a lot of these other AAA studios that have tons and tons of money, I'm like, I don't know why y'all crying. I don't know what y'all going on about.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just find it funny. It's just kind of like, they made a game. It's only $60, and it has a plethora of content.
Yeah.
Um, and no microtransactions.
Nope.
And it's just like, so it's like, and I'm sure they're gonna make their money back on this game. Hopefully.
They already made their
Um,
money because it was in early access for a long time. They weren't spending as much money to make that game.
yeah. Yeah. It,
I'll tell you this much though. To the AAA developers who are whining about it's not fair, maybe y'all need to learn some. Y'all need to take some lessons from this game being made.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. It'd be kind of nice if these AAA developers just finally started learning, but it's only so much.
No,
They're not gonna.
no, man. That's
Uh,
see, that's where you messed up, man. You're expecting them to learn. They don't learn.
yeah,
They don't. You know what they do? Instead of saying, "Hey, okay, you can't one to one apply how Larian made this game to to normal game development because it was very unusual for normal game development." But what you can do is say, "Hey, um, what worked? What was really effective? Let's apply this."
yeah,
But they ain't gonna do that shit, man. They're gonna. All we got is a whole bunch of sour graping. And most of these people who are sour graping haven't made games of this caliber or nearly as good.
yeah, yep. Um, what class did you pick?
I have two files going. I have one with a like just standard fighter, and the
Yeah.
other one is a wizard.
Uh, I'm going.
So I'm going like two distinct, um, yeah, two diametrically opposed characters playing styles.
Right now. I'm playing a monk class, and then I might either go with paladin, or I might choose a different. I might explore different classes because the
Yeah,
paladin classes sound interesting, and I like the concept of the monk class. Uh,
yeah.
so that sounds pretty. But in any case, speaking of people that are hurt, bitter, sour grapes, Embracer Group. I think it was a few months ago, probably about a
Yeah.
year ago. The head of the Embracer Group, that company, nearly had a heart attack because they lost $2 billion overnight. Um,
Well,
pro-
they didn't really lose $2 billion. They had a deal that was worth around $2 billion, and it fell through.
yeah, yeah,
The money
and
was never in their hands. They were just like, if this goes through, we'll have access to $2 billion in funding. Didn't go through.
yeah, and it did,
Did not go through.
and it hurt them. It hurt. Um, they thought they could eat the elephant whole, but they bit off more than they can chew, and now they're
Yeah.
shuttering studios.
Yeah,
Um,
because they had all these studios that, like, all some of them aren't really turning a profit. So you know,
yeah,
you can't have all those studios and some of them coming out with bombs and nothing's happening. You can't,
yeah,
unless you really like losing money. I don't know.
yeah. That's pretty crazy. Um, but in any case, it just seems like they were on a buying spree. Um,
Yeah.
all these different studios. They haven't released a ton of stuff yet. Doesn't seem like.
Yeah. The thing is, the big AAA studios, they ate like 2K and stuff like that. Like Gearbox. Gearbox is coming out with some new games. Those games haven't come out yet.
Yeah,
Like the big new stuff. Like there's just a lot of stuff that hasn't come out yet. So it's like, they're kind of between a rock and a hard place, really.
yeah, yeah. That's the problem with a lot of these acquisitions. It's like, either side you're on, they're cool that they're happening, or they're not cool that they're happening, just depending on who you're talking to and their perspective and their perception. Any case, but with these big acquisitions, it's like, all you're getting is potential promises, and you gotta, have some kind of faith that something will come out of it. I mean, obviously, with some of these acquisitions, you know you know that some of these companies have had past success. I mean, you have Sony acquiring Bungie, which with Destiny stuff, they proven themselves to create a games as a service model, and then you have Activision Blizzard with again their ability to create a games as a service models. That's the big thing. A lot of these companies are chasing after.
Want recurrent transactions, recurrent, continuous transactions, preferably month on month or year on year.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's not like you go into it with blind faith. I mean, they obviously have proven themselves. I mean, Microsoft wouldn't drop $69 billion on an idea. I'm
I
just
mean, for them, it's more
Microsoft
of a
is
fire sale, really.
yeah.
Because here's the thing, right? As we all know, they are not like, okay. What okay, if this was Activision from 10 years ago, I would say that's worth it. They're kind of like Elon Musk buying Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay? Because Activision as it is right now is not all that valuable. Right?
Yeah.
Blizzard, World of Warcraft is losing subscribers like monthly. They're not really making a lot of money off of that. The most profitable part of their business, Call of Duty's been going down with users year over year. Like they'll come out with an expansion and it'll pop up a little bit and then it'll start going back down again. So, like, the reason Microsoft got Activision Blizzard is because they want part of it is they want King, which is the most profitable part of Activision Blizzard. King, which King is microtransactions and fucking smartphone games, stuff like that with microtransactions. So but also because they have a machine in place that can get games out quickly.
Yeah.
And because Microsoft has some good studios under their belt, but like it takes years. Like you're not going to see Elder Scrolls 6 for like 6-7 years, and Microsoft ain't got that type of time. They need games out now.
Yeah, exactly.
And Activision Blizzard has a huge library of games they could be just remaking and putting out now.
Yeah.
So business-wise, it's what they really want is the infrastructure.
Yeah.
They want the infrastructure from Activision Blizzard, but the games, I mean, come on, man. Call of Duty's been going down. It's all been going down, man. It's not like, oh, this is the best ever. It's like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's a time thing. Like they need everything boils down to time.
Yeah.
And both Microsoft and Sony are ignoring the elephant in the room, which is the fact that Nintendo, with their shitty little piece of shit Switch, kicked both their consoles' ass. And I know some people are going to be like, oh, but don't you like the Switch? I like the concept of the Switch, but as far as no one in their right mind is going to call the Switch a powerhouse. And if they did, backhand them across the face because that is bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Switch is not a powerhouse.
I mean, yeah. I honestly think that maybe, at some point, something's got to give. At some point, these companies have to focus more on art style, maybe function, the way a game functions. I'm not saying completely ignore aesthetics or anything, but it's just like they talk about how games are getting more and more expensive to make, and all these not developers, more so publishers, have dug themselves a hole pertaining to these cinematic esque experiences in these games. So yeah, it's something that they're probably gonna have to consider for the future. Because again, you have the Switch that's obviously not a powerhouse that's outselling the other consoles. Not necessarily because it's cheaper, because it's not that much cheaper than the Series S.
No, they're about the same price.
They're about the same price.
They're a base Switch, like the basic model of Switch and a Series S are the same price. They're both $299. So you can get both those consoles / game. I'm not gonna call the Switch a console. Let me walk that back. Gaming devices. Both gaming. You can get a gaming device. It's basically what it boils down to is the form factor of the Switch and the fact that people if you play a Switch game in handheld mode, it plays well enough.
Yeah.
Not great, good enough. The Switch is good enough for most gaming. Right? Like it's good enough. It's like Like the Switch is basically like McDonald's. If you're hungry and you don't want to go someplace really expensive and you got $10 and you just want to eat something, you get something that's good enough.
Yeah.
That's the Switch. It's good enough. Now, the problem with me is that I look at the Switch and I see how even first party games run like ass on it, and I'm like, nah. I see how the Switch used to, like how Nintendo used to have a really good online infrastructure, or at least better than it is now. It's not. Their eShop is trash compared to what it used to be.
Yeah.
Um, like I see how basically they went all in on the Switch to the detriment of everything else. And I see how all these new people jumped into the ecosystem and are just fine with getting mediocrity. Well, less than mediocrity, because mediocre means it's of medium quality. Less than mediocre. F like D minus F grade quality from Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean we've seen Nintendo do better. It's the only way.
Yeah.
It's why we harp on this stuff so much. Like the eShop, like the virtual console, because we've seen better, at least from that standpoint. Okay, I mean the Wii U had its shortcomings, yeah, but you know,
Let me put it this way. All right. The Wii U had its shortcomings because it wasn't really supported by third party. It didn't have great third party support. But guess what? If I went on the eShop on the Wii U and I put in I'm looking for these games, I could parse down the category, then letters, then the people who manufactured the game. I could find whatever I wanted very easily. Doesn't exist on the Switch.
yeah,
Did they finally add folders to the Switch? Like a year ago? They finally fucking
I
added
think
folders
so.
to the app?
I think so, but it's not
I'm
entirely what
sorry.
you think it is.
No.
Yeah,
No. Fuck no. No. And all these fucking new people, oh, this is great. Fuck you. you like
yeah.
you like bullshit is basically if you think if you haven't owned a Nintendo console for years or ever and you got a Switch and you think what the Switch has is great, you're an idiot.
Yeah,
Because it's not.
and going on the eShop is like using broadband from 2004. It's like it's pretty sluggish. It's like why is this so slow? And it's been this and it's always been that slow. Not to mention the organization, like you just mentioned, not great. But you whatever.
Like I said, you mentioned this. You're like, oh well, it's acceptable. So mediocre bullshit is acceptable. Why?
You guys didn't accept this with the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One with their you know with their various interfaces. Like
And like I said, the big thing is we've seen them be better. This
yeah,
isn't their first time at the rodeo.
yeah,
Like I could see, okay, this is the first time this happened. No, we've seen better.
yeah,
Like why are you willing to accept mediocre bullshit?
yeah, yeah, exactly. They also had a communication service where you could talk to people and get
Meverse?
yeah, Miiverse, where you could get information about various games that you're playing. They had a web browser that you could easily access if you need to look for you know
Oh yeah. Yeah.
go to FAQs or something or watch
They actually
YouTube
had a
videos to
good
review something.
they actually had a good web browser on the Wii and the Wii U and the 3DS.
Yeah, they
So
had
we
the
went
best
from
one.
having a good web browser to no web browser.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just really weird. So a lot of the decisions that were made with the Switch, but
And
it's
people who are brand new, oh, this is great. This mediocre bullshit is great. Really? Okay, all right.
I'm not. That's the thing. We'll get to it when we talk about it. But speaking of mediocrity and just proving to people that they actually did better in the past, but somehow are just progressively getting worse.
Yeah.
Rockstar's Red Dead Redemption announcement.
Oh, oh yeah. I felt a disturbance in the force when it was announced. I was someplace. I was sitting at my desk at work, and I was like, I feel a disturbance in the force, and I looked up, and I was like, I looked on my phone. I was like, oh shit, for real?
Yeah, yeah, that. And people were hoping, people were, and I was just sitting back like, temper your expectations. You're gonna be disappointed.
Yeah, I'm
You're
about
gonna
to
be
say something.
disappointed.
I'm about to say something that's gonna What the fuck made anyone think that they were gonna do a good job with this?
Yeah,
Because they already fucked up. They already fucked up GTA.
yeah, yeah,
And GTA. Look. Red Dead Redemption is a fucking IP they bought from. They just fucking bought from Capcom. Okay, that's not something they actively gave a fuck about. So if they don't give a fuck about the game that made them into what they are, because GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas, they made, when you think of Rockstar, it's because of those games. So if they don't give a fuck about those games, what the fuck makes you think they give a fuck about some shit that, I mean, basically for Rockstar, Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2 are basically like how Bethesda feels about Fallout. They bought Fallout. They didn't create Fallout. Why do they give a fuck about it? They don't.
and
Okay?
and like people were probably hoping, or it just seemed like they were hoping by some of the people I was listening to that they were gonna. This is hilarious to me that they were gonna rebuild the game in the Red Dead Redemption 2 engine. It's like, are you crazy? They're not gonna do that.
Look, here's what I'm going to say. It would be cool if they did that, but I
Yeah.
mean, Rockstar today, Rockstar is not what it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Okay?
this is a lot of those people left or were pushed out. Like, but you really think it's the same company that made GTA Vice City? No. I mean, what we had 10 years go by, and they released the same game over and over and over again, and
Yeah.
everybody's expecting, or I wouldn't say everybody, but there's a lot of people that still have faith. I would say blind faith at this point that, well, maybe they'll get it right. Look, if I were you, I would not be excited for GTA 6. I would be cautiously, cautiously, uh, very cautiously enthusiastic. Maybe it could be
Uh,
good. Maybe, but I have no faith that GTA 6 is gonna do anything.
Here's what I'm going to say. I never count out Rockstar when it comes to GTA. I never count it out. All right? I never count them out when it comes to GTA. I'll tell you the reason why I don't count them out when it comes to GTA. I don't count them out when it comes to GTA because there's always something that can make a GTA game, that can save a GTA game. For example, there's modding.
Yep. Yep. Always mod the game.
Modding, like I recently re-downloaded GTA 5, and like I've got a list of mods I'm gonna add that will make that game much better. So like no matter how bad a GTA game could be, I'll get it because there's still some really good GTA games I played that I still enjoy. There's still GTA games that Rockstar made that I really fucking enjoy. Like I like Chinatown Wars. It's not what I initially wanted, but I played it. I'm like, oh, this is fun. I still love San Andreas and Vice City. I still think those are some of the most ambitious, especially San Andreas, the most ambitious game they ever made. It's the Pokemon Silver and Gold of that franchise because they have never been that ambitious since.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's just it's this hope. I think many people's hopes, and I'm afraid they're probably going to get dashed, is that they focus more on the single player and not sacrifice the single player for the multiplayer. Uh, but that's they made so much money off of GTA 5. I mean, that's why they kept re-releasing the game. And uh, they it was there were a lot of people at work that talked about coming home and playing GTA 5 online after work, and it's just like I get have fun with that, I guess, but
Yeah, that's true.
yeah,
I mean, here's what I'm going to say. I am not surprised that people are like, "Oh, I can't believe they did this." I'm like, "What did you expect?
yeah,
What did you expect from Rockstar? Like, when has Rockstar re-released a game, an old game, and you've been like, "Oh man, that was an awesome re-release"? We've seen fans make better. I saw a thing where a fan remade GTA San Andreas. Like, I've seen a heavily modded GTA San Andreas that looked better than the fucking definitive edition.
yeah,
Played better, looked better, had more complete features.
yeah,
Like, here's the thing: if if like if fans give a fuck more about your legacy content than you do, it's time for you to rethink your entire, like, Rockstar just needs to go do something else. They need to say, look, GTA 6 is our last GTA. We're going to move on to something else. Because if they don't give a fuck about the franchises that they created, then just let it go. It's like if you're in a marriage and you don't like the person you're with, like you can't stand them, you actively just don't, you're not in love with them, leave. Don't waste people's time.
yeah, yeah,
And all this is just wasting people's time. It's
yeah.
like, let me waste your time.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just hope people aren't screwed over again. I know there's a lot of anticipation for GTA 6, and there's a lot of there's still relatively a lot of faith in that franchise. So
I don't count Bethesda. I don't count Rockstar out, but I'm not like, it's like when people count out Nintendo. I don't count out Nintendo. I don't count out Bethesda. Because they always surprise me.
yeah, yeah, and it's also also sorry. What I meant to say is that sometimes we get into these ideas about what a game should be or shouldn't be, even with the ample amount of evidence in the past, and then we just assume things, but again, they never said that this was going to happen. So I'm not saying you shouldn't be disappointed. It's just you know I'm not saying you shouldn't be disappointed. Just try not to be super. I guess just try not to be super surprised. But in any case, do you have a free topic?
I got nothing except this. Gamers, gamers need to be more skeptical. All right,
Yeah,
just be more skeptical. Not just, and this is, I mean, I'm using gamers, but in life, people need to be more skeptical. Think about, okay, look at this person's history. Have they ever been able to pull this off, or have they had a string of fucking up?
yeah,
You know, like have they had a string of fucking up? Um, and unfortunately, a lot of people been having strings of fucking up, and less strings of them being successful.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But my free topic is I was thinking about this a few days ago, like how the AAA market could fix itself, and how maybe they don't need to put all their eggs in one basket. And I was thinking about instead of just that one game that they come out per year, that one big game, they could create smaller games around this one big game to build up hype, to build up the world of that particular game. Um, Whether that be just like smaller indie like projects, say for like Assassin's Creed or something. Uh, to flesh out the world and to flesh out some of the stories a little bit more, and you could also potentially pull in a new audience. So you know it. Um, but I feel like it's just like they announce the game 2 3 years out, and then it's just nothing but trailers and nothing but you know people going up on stage and talking about the game for like 3 years. Um, but I think I think they could build hype around the game if they had more interactive more interactive materials before the game comes out. So I don't know. It's a bit of a rough idea, but what do you think? Anything you would add to it, take away?
Uh, I agree. Um, but I have a caveat. My caveat would be, um, I think we should go back to basics. I think every AAA studio should have an A team and a B team,
Yeah,
and maybe a C team. I think the A team works on the AAA game. I think the B and C team should work on AA and single A experiences. Put maybe put out two single A B grade games a year. Maybe one AA single A game a year, so that while the AAA game is being, you have money coming in. Therefore, your budget is gonna work. Like if you have a game that only costs you 50 million to make for like a team of like let's say 15 people, and you sell the game at 50 dollars, and it sells like a decent amount of copies. Let me let me uh let me get my calculator out. Okay, let's say a $50 game, and it sells like let's say it sells 100 million copies. Not 100 million. Let me walk that back. So it sells a million copies. Okay, that you've already made your budget back. And let's say on top of that, it sells like your $50 sells. Let's say it sells 10 million. All right,
yeah,
you made $500 million.
yeah,
Sorry, you made no. That's $500,000. No, shit. It's my stupid ass. Let's see here. 0.00 equals. Yeah, you made $500 million right there. Your $50 AA game sold 10 million units. You made million, 500, yeah, 500, half $1 billion. Now you come out with two games that are like double a year for $100 million budget, $50 million, and look, these games aren't trying to be the best. You aren't trying to push the graphical envelope. They're $50 million. They sell between 5 and 10 million each. You've made your AAA budget right there in a year.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And then you take that money and you put it towards your AAA game.
Yeah.
Plus, you got extra for your shareholders. No one wants to do that. Everyone wants it has to be fantastic. It's like, no, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they'll only have themselves to blame if that aspect of the industry goes belly up. But I mean, they won't blame themselves. They'll blame everybody else because that's what addicts do.
Yeah. No one wants to be like, you know what, we fucked up. No. The problem is we just, it's not our fault. It's just it's not our fault. It's you. No, it's your fault.
Yeah. Anyway, anything else before we call it a show?
No, that's it. I got nothing else to say. I'm gonna pimp out my channel. This is Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor BS Busters. Was gonna have a cast last week, but I was just fucking tired. That's on me. So look forward to that. We're gonna be talking about that Pokemon Direct. I also will be talking about the Red Dead Redemption 2 thing, and apparently, Final Fantasy 14 sales are not meeting expectations.
15?
Also,
Or 16.
14.
Oh, 14? Oh, interesting.
Sorry. So no, I lied. 16.
16.
16.
Oh, okay.
I misread the Roman numeral. Yeah, apparently it's not meeting expectations anymore. Oh snap! So we're gonna
report faster than you expected.
Man,
That game
the
wasn't
thing
for
is,
me.
you're not gonna fix it with a PC port, but
No.
whatever. I could wager as to why that game's not selling well, compared to what they want it to sell, but I am not going to because I have no reason to. Anyway, look forward to that. No, go ahead. Sorry.
I said it's pretty obvious why it's not selling as well, because it's not a Final Fantasy game.
What it is. Yeah, what it is it's a platinum RPG game.
Yep.
Because you play the combat, it's like, oh, this is a platinum game, and then I'm like, oh, platinum worked on the combat design. I'm like, no shit.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But this is not Final Fantasy. And I know why they made it the way they were, because they wanted this game out as quickly as possible. And it takes time to create a massive open world with all that stuff going on, and they didn't want to do it. So
Yep. And this is Kanoshi about Manito. Shorter cast than usual, but it's all right. Hopefully we see you guys next week, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. Have a good week, have a good weekend, and have a good life.